Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. We are going to dive straight into another week of what's for dinner. I'm sure you can tell just by the sound of my voice, I have been under the weather. You can probably tell that on the last couple videos, but I'm trying my best to get better. But we have been eating normal foods. We got back from vacation. I've been back in the kitchen. So we are going to look at some yummy things, including a wonderful dessert at the end.
Right, tonight for dinner, we are having fried cabbage and sausage, I know for sure. And then I'm still deciding on the rest. So let me show you here. I got my cabbage all slivered up. This is about the size I usually do it. Kind of slivers, but not real skinny, but not real big. So that's kind of how I do mine. And then I have some onion. I'm for sure going to do half. I may do the whole onion. And I'm going to fry this up. So I'm going to start out with my bacon grease here. I keep this in my little mason jar. And my skillet is heating up. And so I'm going to fry this up and get a little bit of a fry on it, a little color on it. And then I'll add water and cook it the rest of the way. So I'll show you as we get going.
When we were young, running from our fence at once, without thinking twice. And I knew it would catch us, and that we...
Alright, it's heated up. Cabbage cooks way down. It'll cook to half this size, maybe a little less, after it cooks down. So just give it a minute. You don't have to worry about stirring it just yet anyways. And it'll start cooking down pretty quick. Okay, so for the sausage portion of this dinner, I think these both look good. So I think I'm going to do a couple lengths of both. We've never had knockwurst before, but I know we'll like it. My husband is a big German food fan. He loves it so much. So I think I'm going to do a couple of these in the air fryer. They're fully cooked, and I think that's going to be just as good as anything else. And then these, I am going to boil these on the stove until they're done on the inside, and then I'll fry them up just a little bit. Let me see here. So for this knockwurst, grill, stovetop, place links in water, or microwave. Okay, yes, so I'm going to do air fryer for these, and they will not take long. That'll get a good crisp on those. And then these, the same way I do brats, I usually either fry them first and then boil them so the insides are done, you know, or steam them, however. Put water in there, put the lid on. I think this time I'm just going to do it in reverse. And when the water's all cooked out, I'll let them brown up just a little bit. All right, I'm going to get going on the Italian. And, of course, these will be towards the end before we're ready to eat. All right, now, most of y'all know we love pepper in this house. And I feel like cabbage is one of those things that can take a lot of pepper. That's how we like it, at least. And then I have a fair amount of salt on there, not too much. So I have some salt. And then the ingredient that most people might think is odd is I put a little bit of white sugar in the cabbage. That's the way my mom did it. That's the way I do it. Everything I make, basically, especially Southern style, comes from how my mom cooks. All right, let me grab my sugar here. So it's not too much. That's maybe a teaspoon, actually. I may want a little bit more than this. I don't want to taste sweet necessarily, like, oh my goodness, that's sweet. I just want it to, I don't know, just have a little hint of it, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it, but it makes some pretty awfully good cabbage, I can tell you that. Okay, slight change of plan. I think I'm just going to lay these two right on the top of this cabbage here and let them start heating through like this. If I want to put them in the air fryer, I will, but I think this will work pretty good. At least start now. I'm just going to let these lay here and heat through. Okay, now I'm getting ready to make some hoe cakes or fried cornbread fritters, whatever you want to call them. There's no corn in them. I think corn fritter kind of almost means like there's some corn in there. Anyway, hoe cakes is what I know them by, and the meaning is, you know, way back in the day, they were fried on the hoe, the flat side of the hoe over the fire. It's definitely a Southern thing, but basically it's cornbread, but you just make it into little like pancake sizes and fry it up. So that's what I'm making. I have about 1 part self-rising flour to 2 parts self-rising cornmeal, a little bit of mayonnaise in my spoon there, and some egg, and then I'm just going to use water, and I'm going to fry them up. Here's the consistency. I think is about what I want. Kind of like a pancake in a way. And I'm going to get these. They're going to fry in bacon grease.
On this road that I am on, I gotta stay here for some time.
All right, there's the little hoe cakes. I cannot wait to get some butter on one of those. It's going to be so good. And then I don't know if any of y'all use a plate for a lid. So underneath here is my mashed potatoes. Keeping those both warm that way. This is a little pot holder that James's great-grandmother, no, that's not true, James's grandmother made. James's grandmother. So I had always just kept these put away, and I decided I don't want to keep them put away. I want to use them and think of them every time I use them. So I have some in my drawer from both grandmothers. They both crocheted and did all that fun stuff. And then I kept 2 or 3 that I'll just keep put away without using them. So that's what that is. All right, let's look here on the stove. These are the hot Italian sausages. They boiled. I took them out of the pan I had them boiling in, and this is what I fried my little hoe cakes in. So I just put them in here, and you can see they're just getting a little bit of a brown on them. And there's the cabbage. Oh my goodness, this is all going to be so good. I just basically cooked what I was hungry for. That's why I made the mashed potatoes. I just thought I want those mashed potatoes with the hoe cakes, with the cabbage, with the sausage, all the things. So I don't typically do like an hot Italian sausage necessarily with this type of meal, but again, that's what sounded good today. And here is the plate, all plated up with some sliced tomato and some chow chow there in the middle. I highly doubt I will eat both of these sausages, but I'm going to try both of them. Cabbage underneath there and the mashed potatoes. Can't forget about that little hoe cake there. Oh my goodness. This is all going to be so good.
All right, moving into another dinner that we had was spaghetti. I love angel hair pasta the best, so I usually use that and these vodka sauces. James loves the vodka sauce, so I just fried up some ground beef with onion and green pepper. I seasoned that up with just some garlic salt, some pepper, and put in my sauce. And I just let that simmer and just real low, and it just really brings out those flavors. So that's going here. And then for the bread portion, garlic bread, something like that, I'm going to use this pizza dough. I get this at Aldi. I've talked about it several times. I'm going to use it to make basically cheesy bread to go along with our spaghetti dinner. So I lightly sprayed my pan here, and I'm just going to work out this dough here using my handy dandy little mason jar there. Going to roll that out. If I had to do over, I probably wouldn't have rolled it out as thin as I did, but it was still really, really good. I mean, bread, garlic, butter, and what's not to love. But I just kind of spread this out and made a little cup of butter. I melted it in the microwave. So butter with some garlic, stirred that together. That is a garlic salt blend. And then just brushed this all over the bread and baked it off in the oven. It was really, really good.
Do you recall when we were young?
And then next, on top of the garlic butter layer, I just put some mozzarella cheese and topped it all off with some parsley flakes. And I just baked that, kept my eye on it. It didn't take long at all. And I just sliced that up, and so we had some cheesy garlic bread from the pizza dough, and it worked out great. And then we just had our angel hair pasta. I went ahead and mixed the pasta into the sauce just for easier serving. It was family night that night, and I just made us up a big old tossed salad with all of the yummy things and the toppings, and it was delicious. And a lot of people are like, oh, spaghetti. Honestly, spaghetti is one of my most favorite meals. I love it. I love spaghetti. So it's easy. That's a bonus, but it just always tastes good to me. And I love spaghetti as leftovers. So that is a little view of what we had for family night. Here is my plate. Again, it was just delicious. Comment down below if you are so glad that it is grilling season. James decided to do up a couple bags of wings on our smoker here. He seasoned them, he put the sauce on them, he did the whole thing. I've actually never grilled. I don't grill. So, and James loves to grill, so it works out perfectly. And these little wings were so good. He did them low and slow. They turned out just great. And then I just did some mozzarella cheese sticks in the air fryer. This was a weekend meal. It was quick. It was so good. The flavor on those wings was just over the top. So yes, I'm so glad it's grilling season again. And another night we did ribeyes on the grill. Like I said, James is excellent at grilling. He got these steaks done just right. And I actually wanted to put mine in a wrap. I know that sounds strange, but that's what I wanted. So I used the sun-dried tomato wrap, and I just cut up my steak and put it in there with a few things, some lime, some onion, and a little bit of cilantro, some cheese. Oh yeah, added some spinach in there, and it just made the most delicious steak wrap. That's just what sounded good to me. James just ate his, traditional style. He actually had his steak and part of mine. He's been doing a little bit of carnivore diet type deal where you have basically meat. He did that for a couple of weeks just to kind of reset his metabolic system. I think is what he said he was wanting to do, really eliminate some carbs for a while. So he had steak and I had a wrap. You can't get much easier than that. And so that was our dinner this night. Alright, lastly, we have definitely moved to the sweetest part of this video, clearly. And I am so excited to share with you guys this recipe. This is my mother-in-law's personal recipe. She combined a few recipes together to come up with just what she wanted. And her tradition is to make mini loaves and give those out at Christmas time. She makes up a delicious goodie box filled with treats. She makes the best buckeyes. Oh, it's just always full of homemade goodies, and this cranberry orange loaf is at the top of the list for me. I had her make this for a ladies event at church a few years ago, and so many people asked for the recipe. So today I am sharing it with you. You can see here that I have gotten going with some of the beginning ingredients, the sugar and the eggs. I'm getting this going here in my KitchenAid. I will have her full recipe typed out down below. And again, it's a cranberry orange loaf, and on the recipe she shares that it can be made in a traditional loaf pan. It can be made mini loaves. It can be made into a bundt pan, and that's what I decided to do. So fresh squeezed orange juice going in. I'm telling you, this is so flavorful and delicious. flour here is in my little duck goose measuring cup from the 90s. We've been married for 31 years coming up, and I have one piece left from that set that we got as a wedding gift. So flour is in. Now for the cranberry portion, I don't know that this is necessary to put a little flour on these so they don't sink to the bottom, but I did. Now it calls for fresh cranberries, and I so wish that I had those, but I did not have any in my freezer, and it's not really cranberry time, so I had dried cranberries. I just went out on a limb there to see if it would work, and they worked out just perfectly. But the fresh is what she uses, and it is just delicious. But again, if you just have the dried, it did work out. Alright, into the bundt pan. I just baked it on this cookie sheet just to make sure nothing would leak out of my bundt pan. It did not, and I just tested it for doneness according to the recipe, and then you just kind of hold your breath and cross your fingers and hope that the cake comes out of the pan like it should. So I got it lifted out of the pan. So far so good. I let it just rest a little bit, took a knife and just barely put it down around the cone portion, and it came out just great. No issues whatsoever. And so now it is time for the glaze. I may have put a bit too much vanilla in there. It kind of gave it a little bit of a darker color, but that's okay. So you make this glaze and pour it on there. I let my cake completely cool, or if you're doing it in the bread form, let the bread cool. That way the glaze doesn't just completely disintegrate. It kind of, stays on there a little bit where you can see it. And so I just got this glazed, and we served this on the family night that we had the spaghetti, and not all of us was at family night that night, and I have to say half of this cake was gone, lickety split. It is so good. I call it cake because it's in a bundt pan, but it's really the loaf recipe. Oh my goodness, you have to try this one.
Alright, that wraps it up, you guys. Give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't. We're almost at 7,000. Thanks again for all your support, and I'll see you the next time. And in case you haven't noticed, we are almost at 7,000.